Good afternoon, I'm Riza Diaz and this is One News Now. The last Filipino held captive by Hamas is now free. President Bongbong Marcos himself announced that Noraline Babadilla is now back in Israel. Babadilla, who holds dual citizenship, was snatched together with her partner Gideon Babani on October 7. They were visiting friends in Kibbutz Kirim when the militant group launched a daring attack on Gaza. Babani was killed while Babadilla remained in Hamas captivity for 53 days. Noraline is currently undergoing medical evaluation at the Tel Hashomer Hospital in Israel. Meantime, Babadilla's relatives were ecstatic at the news of her release.
Sa TV lang po ko nakita, talagang makikita naman po lahat dito sa TV ang mga nangyayari. Kaya noon pong ma-focus siya sa TV, talagang ako po ay tuwan-tuwa at sure na talagang siya ay makakalabas na. Alamin ko po sa kapatid niya dahil ang kapatid niya po ang nasa ospital na sasalubong. At bukas po malalaman kung pwede nang dalawin sa ospital dahil kukuha pa rin po kami ng appointment para makapasok.
And on day 5 of the ceasefire between Israel and Hamas, 12 more hostages and 30 Palestinian prisoners have been released. The initial 4-day truce was extended by 2 days to allow for more hostage prisoner swap and a delivery of humanitarian aid in war-torn Gaza. Israel's military confirmed that among the recently freed Hamas captives were members of its special forces. So far, 81 hostages have been released by the militant group, and they were mostly children and women. It is widely believed that Hamas has taken at least 175 hostages. Mediators are hopeful the truce will be extended some more and could even result in a more permanent pause. Now moving on to another story, President Bongbong Marcos is trumpeting the revival of peace talks with the National Democratic Front. He described it as a bold, meaningful, and optimistic step towards a non-violent resolution to the armed conflict. The chief executive also called on Filipinos to support the government's effort for peace, national reconciliation, and unity. The joint communique was signed on November 23 in Oslo, Norway. Special Assistant to the President Antonio Lagdameo represented the state, while Luis Halandoni appeared for the NDFP. Now, for their part, security officials are viewing the initial peace agreement with guarded optimism. For the armed forces, operations against the New People's Army will continue until a final deal is reached. On the other hand, Peace Advisor Carlito Galvez clarified that negotiations will be back to square one.
If this conflict will finally end, your armed forces of the Philippines will be able to shift our focus to external or territorial defense. No? So, yung aming pong resources, efforts will be poured into defending our territory. Pero habang wala pa po final agreement, your armed forces will continue our operations against the New People's Army.
Resumption. Basically, kasi iba yung resumption. Ang when you say sa resumption kasi
naputol.
Naputol. Ito, we will start anew. Kasi
From the start.
From the start talaga. Sinusama na talaga.
Sir, yung timeline lang, sir, kailan mag-i-start yun? Meron na po ba?
Sa ngayon, under discussion pa. But most likely, baka before the end of first quarter or mid first quarter.
In other news, Comelec has disqualified Smartmatic from participating in future procurements of the poll body. That's according to Comelec Chairman George Garcia in a message to reporters on Wednesday. Now, without disclosing further details, Garcia said they have to, quote, maintain the integrity of the country's electoral process. The official, however, said that this has nothing to do with the petition against the service provider over alleged irregularities in the 2022 presidential elections. Smartmatic, for its part, said it has not been notified yet, nor has it received a copy of the decision. Now, time for a quick break. One News Now. We'll be back with more stories after that. Stay with us. still watching One News Now, I'm Riza Diaz. Pope Francis has canceled his planned trip to the COP28 climate meeting in Dubai, set from November 30 through December 12. The Vatican said the pontiff is still experiencing the effects of influenza and lung inflammation. A CT scan excluded pneumonia but detected swelling in his lungs, causing breathing difficulties. Church officials are now looking for ways on how the Pope can contribute to the UAE discussions remotely. On Monday, the Vatican announced that Pope Francis would limit his activities. The Pope is celebrating his 87th birthday on December 17. Meanwhile, a congressman is calling for an investigation into SMNI for supposedly spreading fake news. This comes after the network released a video alleging that House Speaker Martin Romualdez used up to 1.8 billion pesos in travel funds in only 1 year. While House Secretary General Reginald Velasco did not name SMNI, he released a statement saying that the report was unfounded and categorically false. Velasco added that the accusation is an example of fake news designed to tarnish the reputation of the House as an institution. Now, the lower chamber also demanded a retraction and an apology from SMNI. And at the same time, Quezon Representative J.J. Suarez called on the Committee on Legislative Franchises to further investigate the network.
A lie unchallenged attacks the very integrity of this institution. And it is necessary that we confront it with the truth, because that is the only way we will find out.
We now give you a quick look on today's other top stories. The Senate has approved the 5.7 trillion peso budget for 2024 in the third and final reading. The General Appropriations Bill got 21 yeses, no negative votes, and 1 abstention. Now, a bicameral conference is set to begin to reconcile differences in the versions of the Senate and House of Representatives. Now, once through BICAM, next year's budget will be ratified and transmitted to the Office of the President for signature. Final route for the Christmas convoy to West Philippine Sea has yet to be finalized. Atinito convener Edicio de la Torre said they are still fleshing out the details of the voyage scheduled for December 10. Recall that the National Security Council has already approved the convoy. Atinito wants to bring supplies to the frontliners in the disputed waters, including those stationed in Ayungin Shoal and Pagasa Island. The group aims to normalize maritime trips to the West Philippine Sea, especially among Filipino civilians. The Land Transportation Office reported that 60% of vehicles in the country are unregistered. Out of 38 million vehicles nationwide, only 14 million have proper documents. To address this, the LTO vows to enforce a stricter no registration, no travel policy. It will also conduct a registration caravan to encourage vehicle owners to secure legitimate documentation. And Manila Zoo's only elephant, Mali, has died. The city government cited congestive heart failure as cause of death. A Manila veterinarian said Mali had cancer and her kidney and aorta were inflamed, which led to heart failure. Sri Lanka, where Mali came from, has been informed of the elephant's passing. Now, since 1981, Mali had been in the care of Manila Zoo, which is a popular destination among many Filipino children. There have been calls to transfer Mali to a wildlife sanctuary in Thailand. An animal rights group called her the world's saddest elephant for not living among her kind. One News Now will be back at 3:15 in the afternoon. Join us again later. I'm Riza Diaz. We are One News.